Maya wiped the sweat from her forehead as she balanced 3 plates on her left arm, while carrying 2 steaming coffee cups in her right hand. The lunch rush at Sunny Corner Cafe was finally slowing down, but her feet were already aching in her worn-out sneakers. She had been working since 6 in the morning, and it was now past 2 in the afternoon. "Table 4 needs more ketchup," called out Jenny, the other waitress who worked the morning shift. Maya nodded and made her way across the small restaurant, weaving between the mismatched chairs and tables that gave the place its homey charm. At 22 years old, Maya had become an expert at juggling multiple plates, remembering complicated orders, and keeping a smile on her face even when her energy was running low. She had been working at the cafe for almost 3 years now, ever since she graduated from high school. What started as a temporary job to save money for college had turned into her lifeline for survival. The cafe wasn't much to look at from the outside. It sat on the corner of Maple Street and 3rd Avenue, squeezed between a laundromat and a small grocery store. The paint on the walls was starting to peel, and the old wooden floors creaked with every step. But the food was good, the coffee was strong, and the regular customers had become like family to Maya. She delivered the ketchup to table 4, where an elderly man was enjoying his daily burger and fries. "Thank you, dear," he said with a warm smile. "You're always so attentive." "Just doing my job, Mr. Peterson," Maya replied, refilling his coffee cup without being asked. She had learned that the little things made all the difference. Remembering how customers liked their coffee, asking about their families, and simply treating everyone with kindness had earned her loyal customers and decent tips. As the afternoon crowd thinned out, Maya finally had a moment to catch her breath. She leaned against the counter and pulled out her phone to check the time. 4:30. Her shift would end at 6, but she knew she would be staying until 8 to help with the dinner rush. The extra hours meant extra money, and she couldn't afford to turn down any opportunity to earn more. Money was always tight for Maya. She lived in a small apartment about 15 minutes away from the cafe, sharing the space with her grandmother, Rosa. Rosa had raised Maya since she was 10 years old, after Maya's parents died in a car accident. Rosa worked as a housekeeper for wealthy families across town, but her arthritis had been getting worse lately, making it harder for her to work full days. Maya dreamed of becoming a nurse. She had always been good at taking care of people, and she loved the idea of helping others heal and feel better. But nursing school was expensive, and even with financial aid, she was struggling to save enough money for tuition, books, and supplies. She had applied for several scholarships, but the competition was tough, and she hadn't heard back from any of them yet. Every night after work, Maya would sit at her small kitchen table with her laptop, researching nursing programs and scholarship opportunities. She would fill out application after application, writing essays about her goals and dreams. Sometimes she felt overwhelmed by the mountain of requirements and deadlines, but she never gave up. She knew that education was her ticket to a better life, not just for herself, but for her grandmother too. The bell above the cafe door chimed, and Maya looked up to see a woman with 2 young children walking in. The kids looked tired and hungry, and Maya could tell by the woman's hesitant expression that money might be tight for this family too. Maya had developed a 6th sense for recognizing people who were struggling, probably because she knew the feeling so well herself. "Welcome to Sunny Corner," Maya said cheerfully, grabbing 3 menus. "Right this way." She led them to a booth near the window and handed out the menus. The mother looked at the prices carefully, and Maya noticed her doing quick mental math. The children were well behaved, but kept asking about different items on the menu. "Can I start you off with something to drink?" Maya asked gently. "Just water for all of us, please," the mother said quietly. Maya nodded and went to get their drinks. As she filled the glasses, she thought about her own childhood, when Rosa would take her out for special treats on rare occasions. She remembered how exciting it was to order something other than water, and how Rosa would always make sure Maya got what she wanted, even if it meant Rosa would eat less at home later. When she returned with the water, Maya made a decision. "You know what?" she said quietly to the mother. "We have a special today on our kids' meals. Buy 1 adult meal and the kids eat free. Would you like to hear about our options?" The woman's eyes filled with relief and gratitude. "That would be wonderful," she whispered. Of course, there was no such special. Maya would pay for the kids' meals out of her own tips later. But seeing the family enjoy a good meal together, was worth more to her than the $20 it would cost her. As the day went on, Maya continued to work with the same energy and care she brought to every shift. She chatted with the regulars, helped new customers decide what to order, and made sure everyone felt welcome. The other staff members often commented on how Maya had a natural gift for making people feel comfortable and cared for. By 6 o'clock, when her official shift was supposed to end, the dinner crowd was starting to arrive. Maya tied her apron tighter and prepared for another few hours of busy work. Her feet hurt, her back was sore, and she was tired, but she pushed through it. She had bills to pay, tuition to save for, and a grandmother who depended on her. As the evening wore on, dark clouds gathered outside, and soon rain began to fall. The sound of raindrops against the windows created a cozy atmosphere inside the cafe, and Maya found herself humming softly as she worked. She loved rainy evenings at the cafe. There was something peaceful about the warm lights inside while the weather was stormy outside. Little did Maya know that this particular rainy evening would change her life forever. As she wiped down tables and prepared for the last few customers of the day, she had no idea that a chance encounter was about to show her that kindness, no matter how small, could create ripples that would transform everything she thought she knew about her future. Maya was wiping down the counter when she noticed him. A man in an expensive dark suit sat alone at table 7, constantly checking his phone with an increasingly worried expression. His hair was slightly messy, as if he had been running his hands through it, and his usually perfect appearance seemed disheveled. Every few seconds he would look toward the window, then back at his phone, then tap his fingers nervously on the table. The rain outside had gotten heavier, creating rivers of water that streamed down the cafe windows. The storm that had started as a gentle drizzle was now a full downpour, and Maya could hear the wind howling between the buildings. Most customers had either left or settled in to wait out the weather, but this man looked like he needed to be somewhere else entirely. Maya had been working at the cafe long enough to read people pretty well. She could tell the difference between customers who were just taking their time and those who had something weighing on their minds. This man definitely fell into the second category. He had ordered a coffee over an hour ago but had barely touched it. Instead, he kept pulling out a small photograph from his wallet, looking at it with such tenderness that Maya's heart ached a little just watching him. As she continued cleaning, Maya noticed the man stand up abruptly and start pacing near his table. He pulled out his phone again, pressed it to his ear, then pulled it away and stared at the screen with frustration. He tried calling again, and Maya could see his lips moving as he left what seemed like a voicemail message. The man looked around the cafe desperately, and Maya could see panic starting to set in. His expensive watch caught the light as he checked the time again, and his face went pale. He gathered his things quickly and started walking toward the counter where Maya was working. "Excuse me," he said, his voice tight with worry. "I'm really sorry to bother you, but I'm in a terrible situation." Maya immediately stopped what she was doing and gave him her full attention. Up close, she could see that his eyes were filled with genuine fear, and his hands were shaking slightly. Despite his well-tailored suit and expensive shoes, he looked completely lost and vulnerable. "Of course, how can I help you?" Maya asked, her voice gentle and reassuring. "My daughter," he began, then stopped and took a deep breath. "My 7-year-old daughter Lily is at school right now waiting for me to pick her up. I was supposed to be there at 3:30 and it's already past 4. The woman who usually picks her up called in sick today, and I've never had to go to this school before." Maya nodded, encouraging him to continue. She could see how much this meant to him, and her heart went out to him immediately. "I thought I knew where I was going, but I got completely lost. I've been driving around for almost 2 hours, and then my phone died. I don't have a car charger, and I can't call the school or anyone else. I don't even know exactly where I am right now." The man's voice started to crack as he spoke, and Maya could see tears forming in his eyes. "She's probably sitting there wondering where I am. She's only 7, and she gets scared when things don't go according to plan. I can't imagine what she's thinking right now." Maya felt her chest tighten with empathy. She thought about how scared she used to get as a child when her parents were late picking her up from school, and that was before they died. The idea of a little girl sitting alone, waiting and worrying, made Maya's protective instincts kick in immediately. "What's the name of the school?" Maya asked, already moving toward the phone behind the counter. "Riverside Elementary," he said quickly. It's somewhere in the Riverside neighborhood, but I have no idea how to get there from here. Maya knew exactly where that was. She had gone to school in that area when she was younger, and she had friends who lived in that neighborhood. It was about 20 minutes away by car, but it would be much longer if someone was walking in this weather. First things first, Maya said, picking up the cafe's phone. Let's call the school and let them know you're on your way. Do you know the number? The man shook his head, looking embarrassed. I have it in my phone, but like I said, it's dead. No problem, Maya said with a reassuring smile. She quickly looked up the school's number online and dialed. After a brief conversation with the school secretary, she hung up and turned back to the man. Okay, I talked to them. Lily is safe and waiting in the after-school care program. I told them you got caught in the storm and that you'll be there as soon as possible. They said not to worry and that she's doing fine. The relief on the man's face was immediate and overwhelming. His shoulders sagged as the tension left his body and he closed his eyes for a moment. Thank you so much. You have no idea how grateful I am. Of course, Maya said warmly. Now let me help you figure out how to get there. She grabbed a napkin and started drawing a simple map, explaining each turn and landmark along the way. The man watched intently, asking questions to make sure he understood the directions clearly. The thing is, he said hesitantly, I've been walking for a while now. My car broke down about 3 miles from here, and I've been trying to find help ever since. I was hoping to call a taxi or rideshare, but without my phone. Maya looked outside at the pouring rain and knew that walking 20 minutes in this weather would be miserable and potentially dangerous. The streets were flooding and the wind was strong enough to knock someone over. She made a decision that surprised even herself. You know what? She said, untying her apron. Let me drive you there. The man's eyes widened in shock. Oh no, I couldn't ask you to do that. You're working, and I'm a complete stranger. I can't impose like that. You're not imposing, Maya said firmly. You're a dad who needs to get to his daughter, and I can help. That's all there is to it. She walked over to her manager, Tom, who was working in the kitchen. Tom, I need to take a quick break. There's an emergency. Tom looked at her with concern. Everything okay? Yeah, just need to help someone get to their kid. I'll be back in about 40 minutes. Tom nodded without hesitation. He had worked with Maya long enough to trust her judgment completely. Be careful out there. The roads are getting pretty bad. Maya grabbed her keys and turned back to the man, who was still standing by the counter looking stunned by her offer. I'm Maya. By the way, she said, extending her hand. I'm Alex, he replied, shaking her hand gratefully. And I honestly don't know how to thank you for this. Just help me get your daughter home safely, Maya said with a smile. That's thanks enough for me. Maya grabbed her old umbrella from behind the counter and handed it to Alex. Here, take this. My car is just around the corner, but we'll still get soaked without it. They stepped out into the storm together, and immediately Maya felt the wind whip her hair across her face. The rain was coming down so hard that even with the umbrella they were both getting drenched within seconds. Maya's worn sneakers splashed through puddles as they hurried toward her small blue Honda Civic parked on the side street. I'm sorry about the car, Maya said as she unlocked the doors. It's not much, but it gets me where I need to go. Alex looked at her like she was crazy for apologizing. Are you kidding me? You're saving my life right now. I don't care if we were riding in a shopping cart. Maya laughed as they both climbed in, shaking the rain off their clothes. The car was old and the seats were a bit worn, but it was clean and comfortable. Maya had bought it used 3 years ago with money she had saved from working double shifts, and it had been her pride and joy ever since. As Maya started the engine and pulled out into traffic, Alex sat quietly for a moment, still seeming overwhelmed by her kindness. The windshield wipers worked overtime against the heavy rain, and Maya had to lean forward slightly to see the road clearly. I still can't believe you're doing this, Alex said, breaking the silence. Most people wouldn't go out of their way like this for a stranger. Maya glanced over at him as they stopped at a red light. I don't know about that. I think most people want to help when they see someone in trouble. Sometimes they just don't know how, or they're too busy to stop and think about it. Maybe, Alex said thoughtfully. But you didn't hesitate for even a second. The moment I told you about Lily, you jumped into action. Well, I know what it's like to be scared and waiting for someone who doesn't show up, Maya said softly. The light turned green, and she continued driving through the rain-soaked streets. When I was little, before my parents died, there were a few times when they got stuck at work or in traffic and I had to wait at school. Even though it was usually only 15 or 20 minutes, it felt like hours. And I was older than your daughter. Alex turned to look at her more closely. I'm sorry about your parents, that must have been really hard. It was, Maya said simply. But my grandmother took care of me after that. And she taught me that when you can help someone, you should. She always said that kindness is free to give, but it's worth more than anything money can buy. They drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes, listening to the rain against the windows and the steady rhythm of the windshield wipers. Maya navigated through the familiar streets, taking shortcuts she had learned from years of driving in this city. So what do you do for work? Maya asked, trying to make conversation. I mean, besides rushing to pick up 7-year-olds from school. Alex smiled for the first time since she had met him. I work in business, medical stuff mainly. Lots of meetings, lots of paperwork, lots of stress. Nothing nearly as important as what you do, though. What I do? Maya laughed. I bring people coffee and remember whether they want cream or sugar. That's not exactly changing the world. Are you kidding? Alex said seriously. You make people feel welcome and cared for every single day. You probably brighten the mood of dozens of people before most people even finish their morning coffee. That matters more than you think. Maya felt herself blushing slightly. She wasn't used to people talking about her job like it was something important. Most people, including some of her customers, treated waitressing like it was just a stepping stone to something better. Well, hopefully it is just temporary, Maya said. I'm trying to save money for nursing school. I want to work with kids, maybe in a children's hospital or a pediatric clinic. That's amazing, Alex said, and she could hear genuine admiration in his voice. Are you in school now, or are you still planning? I've been accepted to a program that starts next fall, but I'm still trying to figure out how to pay for it. Even with financial aid, it's expensive. Books, supplies, living expenses while I'm in classes instead of working full-time. I've applied for some scholarships, but I haven't heard back yet. Maya found herself opening up to this stranger in a way that surprised her. Maybe it was because she was focused on driving, or maybe it was because he was genuinely interested in what she had to say, but she felt comfortable sharing her dreams and worries with him. What made you want to be a nurse? Alex asked. I've always liked taking care of people, Maya said. When I was in high school, I volunteered at a nursing home on weekends and I loved it. There was this one elderly man who had dementia, and most days he didn't recognize anyone. But for some reason, he always remembered me. He would light up when I walked into his room, and we would talk about his garden back home or his wife who had passed away years earlier. She paused, remembering those sweet moments. He died during my senior year, but his daughter told me that I had made his last few months so much brighter. That's when I knew I wanted to make caring for people my career. Alex was quiet for a moment, and when Maya glanced over, she saw that he was looking at her with something that looked like wonder. Lily would love you, he said softly. She's always been drawn to people who are genuinely kind. She has this incredible ability to see right through people and know who's got a good heart. Tell me about her, Maya said, turning onto the street that led to the school. What's she like? Alex's entire face changed when he started talking about his daughter. The worry and stress melted away, replaced by pure love and pride. She's incredible, he said. Smart as a whip, but also incredibly creative. She loves to draw and paint, and she's always making up stories about the characters in her pictures. She's got this imagination that just blows me away. She sounds wonderful, Maya said sincerely. She is, Alex said. Then his expression grew more serious. It's been just the two of us for about 2 years now. Her mom died when Lily was 5, and it's been challenging. I'm still learning how to be both parents to her, you know. Maya's heart ached for both of them. That must be so hard, for both of you. Some days are harder than others, Alex admitted. Days like today, when something goes wrong and I feel like I'm failing her. I work too much, I miss things I shouldn't miss, and sometimes I wonder if I'm doing right by her. The fact that you worry about that tells me you're doing just fine, Maya said gently. She's lucky to have a dad who cares so much. As they pulled into the school parking lot, Maya could see a small figure with curly hair pressed against the window of the main office, clearly watching for someone to arrive. Even from a distance, she could see the little girl's face light up when she spotted Alex getting out of the car. "There she is," Alex said, his voice filled with relief and love. "There's my little girl." 3 weeks had passed since that stormy evening when Maya drove Alex to pick up his daughter. Life had returned to its normal rhythm at Sunny Corner Cafe, but Maya found herself thinking about that encounter more often than she expected. There had been something special about helping someone in such a genuine moment of need, and she wondered how Alex and Lily were doing. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon when the bell above the door chimed, and Maya looked up from wiping tables to see a familiar face. Alex walked in, but this time he wasn't alone. A small girl with curly brown hair and bright eyes held his hand, looking around the cafe with curiosity. "Maya," Alex called out with a warm smile. "I was hoping you'd be working today." Maya's face lit up immediately. "Alex, and this must be Lily." She walked over to them, genuinely happy to see them both. Lily looked up at Maya with the intense gaze that only children possess. "Are you the nice lady who helped my daddy find me at school?" "I am," Maya said, crouching down to Lily's eye level. "And you're the artistic one I've heard so much about." Lily beamed and reached into a small backpack she was carrying. "I made something for you." She pulled out a folded piece of paper and handed it to Maya. Maya unfolded the drawing carefully. It showed a woman with long dark hair wearing an apron, standing next to a small car in the rain. Above them, Lily had drawn a rainbow with the words, "Thank you, Maya," written in careful 7-year-old handwriting. "This is beautiful, Lily," Maya said, her voice thick with emotion. "I love it. Can I hang it up here in the cafe so everyone can see what a talented artist you are?" Lily nodded enthusiastically, then tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, can we sit at that table by the window?" "Of course, sweetheart," Alex said. As they settled into the booth, he looked at Maya with gratitude that was still as strong as it had been 3 weeks ago. "I wanted to come back and thank you properly. What you did that day, I'll never forget it." "You already thanked me," Maya said, sitting down across from them. "Besides, I was happy to help." "How have things been?" "Much better," Alex said, watching as Lily pulled out a coloring book and crayons. "I finally figured out the whole school pickup situation, and I bought 3 car chargers so I'll never be stuck without a phone again." Maya laughed. "That's smart planning." "Daddy's been practicing the route to my school," Lily chimed in without looking up from her coloring. "He drives by it every weekend now, even when we don't need to go there." Alex looked slightly embarrassed. "I may have developed a slight obsession with being prepared for emergencies." They chatted easily for a while, with Lily occasionally joining the conversation to show Maya her coloring or to ask for juice. Maya found herself genuinely enjoying their company. There was something comfortable about being around them, like spending time with old friends rather than people she had only met once before. "So how's the nursing school planning going?" Alex asked during a quiet moment when Lily was focused on her artwork. Maya's expression grew more serious. "Actually, I have some pretty big news about that. I got a call yesterday about a scholarship interview at Children's Memorial Hospital. It's for a full ride through their nursing program, plus a guaranteed job after graduation." "That's incredible," Alex said, his eyes lighting up. "When's the interview?" "Next Tuesday. I'm nervous but excited. It's exactly the kind of opportunity I've been hoping for. The scholarship covers everything: tuition, books, even a small living allowance while I'm in school." "Children's Memorial Hospital," Alex repeated slowly, and something in his tone made Maya look at him more closely. "Yeah, do you know it? It's supposed to be one of the best children's hospitals in the state." Alex was quiet for a moment, and Maya noticed that he suddenly looked uncomfortable. He glanced at Lily, who was still happily coloring, then back at Maya. "Maya," he said carefully, "I need to tell you something. I should have told you weeks ago, but the opportunity never seemed right, and honestly, I wasn't sure how to bring it up." Maya felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. "What is it?" Alex took a deep breath. "When I told you I work in business and medical stuff, that wasn't exactly the whole truth. I mean, it was true, but it was also an understatement." "I don't understand," Maya said, confused. "I'm the CEO of Chen Medical Group," Alex said quietly. "We own a network of hospitals across the state, including Children's Memorial Hospital." Maya stared at him, not sure she had heard correctly. "You're... what?" "I'm Alex Chen, Chen Medical Group. The interview you have next Tuesday? I'll be on the panel that makes the final decision about the scholarship. Maya felt like the world had tilted sideways. She looked at Alex, really looked at him, and suddenly details she hadn't paid attention to before became clear. The expensive suit he had been wearing that first day, the way he carried himself, the fact that he had been driving through an unfamiliar neighborhood on his way to what he had mentioned was a board meeting. "You're a CEO," she said slowly. As if testing the words, "I am," Alex confirmed. "And that day when you helped me, I was actually on my way to a meeting at Children's Memorial. We were discussing the budget for our community outreach programs, including the scholarship fund." Lily looked up from her coloring. "Daddy, why do you look so serious?" "We're just talking, sweetheart," Alex said gently. "Keep coloring your beautiful picture." Maya was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Honestly, because it felt so good to have someone help me just because it was the right thing to do. Not because of who I am or what I could do for them in return. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Maya thought about all the conversations they had shared that day in the car. How she had talked about her financial struggles, her dreams, her fears about affording school. How he had listened and responded like a regular person, not like someone who could solve all her problems with a phone call. "When you drove me to get Lily that day," Alex continued, "you didn't know anything about my company or my money. You just saw a father who needed help getting to his daughter, that kind of genuine kindness. It reminded me why I got into healthcare in the first place." "So the scholarship interview," Maya began, "is completely legitimate," Alex said quickly. "The selection committee doesn't know about our connection. They chose you based on your application, your grades, and your essay. I made sure of that." Maya felt overwhelmed. "But now that you know me, now that I know you, I'm even more convinced that you're exactly the kind of person we need in pediatric nursing," Alex said earnestly. "Lily was right about you from the moment I described what happened that day. She said you sounded like someone with a helper heart. That's what she calls it when someone is naturally good at taking care of people." "A helper heart," Maya repeated, smiling despite her shock. "The thing is," Alex said, leaning forward, "I want you to know the truth before your interview. I want you to succeed because you deserve it, not because you helped me that day. But I also want you to know that what you did changed something for me. It reminded me that behind all the business meetings and budget discussions, we're supposed to be helping people, real people with real lives and real dreams." Maya looked at this man who had seemed like just another customer in need, and realized that her simple act of kindness had connected her to something much bigger than she had ever imagined. The following Tuesday morning, Maya stood outside Children's Memorial Hospital wearing her best interview outfit, a simple black dress that she had borrowed from her friend Jessica, and shoes she had polished until they gleamed. Her heart was racing as she looked up at the impressive building that might become her second home for the next few years. She thought about her conversation with Alex at the cafe. Despite learning who he really was, she had decided to go through with the interview exactly as planned. Alex had been right. She deserved to be there based on her own merits, and she wasn't going to let his identity change how she approached this opportunity. The interview panel consisted of 3 people: Dr. Rodriguez, the head of pediatric nursing, Mrs. Patterson, the education coordinator, and Alex, who was introduced simply as Mr. Chen from hospital administration. When Maya walked into the conference room and saw him sitting there in a crisp business suit, she felt a moment of nervousness, but Alex gave her a subtle, encouraging nod. "Please, have a seat," Dr. Rodriguez said warmly. "We've reviewed your application, and we're very impressed with your academic record and your volunteer experience." For the next hour, Maya answered questions about her goals, her experience working with people, and her understanding of what pediatric nursing involved. She talked about her time volunteering at the nursing home, her work at the cafe, and her dreams of helping children and families during difficult times. "What draws you specifically to pediatric nursing?" Mrs. Patterson asked. Maya thought for a moment. "I think children have this incredible ability to find joy and hope even in scary situations. When I was volunteering at the nursing home, I noticed that the elderly patients always lit up when children came to visit. There's something pure about the way kids see the world, and I want to be part of protecting that while helping them heal." She could see Alex watching her carefully, but not in a way that made her uncomfortable. He looked proud, like a friend cheering her on from the sidelines. Can you tell us about a time when you went above and beyond to help someone? Dr. Rodriguez asked. Maya smiled, thinking about all the times she had secretly paid for customers' meals or stayed late to help someone who needed extra attention. I think helping others is just part of who I am. Whether it's remembering how a regular customer likes their coffee or driving someone to their child's school during a storm, I believe we all have opportunities every day to make someone else's life a little easier. Alex's eyes met hers briefly, and she saw something that looked like admiration mixed with gratitude. 2 weeks later, Maya was restocking napkins at the cafe when her phone rang. The caller ID showed Children's Memorial Hospital, and her hands started shaking as she answered. Maya, this is Dr. Rodriguez. I'm calling with good news. The committee has unanimously selected you for the full scholarship. Congratulations. Maya had to sit down. Are you serious? I got it? You absolutely got it. Your interview was outstanding, and we're excited to have you join our nursing program. Classes start in 6 weeks, and we'll be sending you all the enrollment information this week. After hanging up, Maya immediately called her grandmother, then her best friend. Then she found herself dialing Alex's number before she realized what she was doing. Maya, Alex answered on the second ring. How are you? I got it, she said, unable to keep the excitement out of her voice. I got the scholarship. That's incredible. Congratulations. Lily and I are so proud of you. 3 months into the nursing program, Maya was deep in her studies but loving every minute of it. The coursework was challenging, but she felt like she had found her calling. She was particularly excelling in her pediatric rotation, where her natural ability to connect with children and their families was obvious to everyone. One afternoon, as she was finishing her clinical hours, she saw a familiar small figure in the hospital hallway. Lily was walking with Alex carrying a small bouquet of flowers. Maya, Lily called out, running toward her. Daddy said you work here now. I'm still learning, Maya said, hugging the little girl. But yes, I'm here a few days a week for my training. What are you two doing here? We're visiting the children who have to stay in the hospital, Lily explained. Daddy said some kids don't get many visitors, so we bring them flowers and books. Maya looked at Alex with surprise. You've been doing hospital visits? Alex looked slightly embarrassed. It started a few weeks after our conversation at the cafe. I realized that I spend so much time in boardrooms talking about patient care, but I never actually see the patients. Lily suggested we visit kids who might be lonely. It was my idea, Lily said proudly. I told Daddy that if kids are stuck in the hospital, they probably miss their toys and their friends, so we bring them things to make them happy. Over the following months, Maya began joining Alex and Lily on their weekend hospital visits when her studies allowed. She watched as Alex transformed from a busy executive who saw hospitals as businesses into someone who understood them as places where real families faced their biggest challenges. You know, Alex told Maya one Saturday as they walked through the pediatric ward together, these visits have changed how I think about everything. Last month, when we were deciding whether to expand the children's wing, I didn't just look at the budget numbers. I thought about all the families who might need those extra rooms. Maya had noticed changes in the hospital since she started her program. New family support services, expanded visitor hours, and a new scholarship program for nursing students from working-class families. When she asked Dr. Rodriguez about it, she learned that Mr. Chen had been pushing for more community-focused initiatives. He's been different lately, Dr. Rodriguez had told her, more interested in the human side of what we do here. It's been really good for the hospital. By the time Maya graduated from nursing school 18 months later, she had become like an older sister to Lily and a trusted friend to Alex. She was there for Lily's school plays, her birthday parties, and the quiet evenings when Alex needed advice about parenting challenges. The day Maya received her nursing degree, Alex and Lily were in the audience cheering louder than anyone else. After the ceremony, Alex approached her with a serious expression. Maya, I have an offer for you, he said. We're opening a new pediatric emergency department next month, and we need a head nurse. Someone who understands both the medical side and the human side of patient care. Someone who knows that sometimes the most important thing you can do is drive through a storm to help a scared father get to his child. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. Alex, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Lily piped up. Then you can take care of kids every day and you can still come to my soccer games on weekends. Maya laughed through her tears. In that case, yes. Absolutely yes. 5 years later, Maya was recognized as Nurse of the Year at Children's Memorial Hospital. In her acceptance speech, she talked about how one stormy evening had taught her that kindness creates ripples that spread farther than we can imagine. Alex had established the Help Her Heart Foundation, providing scholarships and support for students pursuing careers in pediatric healthcare. Hundreds of students had benefited from the program, and Maya served on the selection committee. Lily, now 12, still visited the hospital regularly, but now she led a volunteer program for kids to read to patients and help with art therapy sessions. As Maya looked out at the audience that night, she saw Alex and Lily in the front row, beaming with pride. She thought about that scared, wet father who had walked into her cafe years ago, and how helping him had changed all their lives in ways she never could have imagined. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Sometimes driving through a storm leads to sunshine you never saw coming.